Hey, welcome back to the Unstuck movement. I'm your host, Rob Z. This platform was created to help you break those chains in your life that are holding you back personally and professionally. So what we do is we bring incredible guests on the show who have incredible stories of breakthrough to give you proof that it's possible for you also. Today, we have the powerful Marques Ogden with us on the podcast, and we're talking resilience today, leadership, business, strategy. And Marques is a former NFL athlete. Now, I wanted to launch this thing, kick it off with this question. How did, Marques, the NFL prepare you for business success? And how can we take that and apply it to our own lives?
So the NFL taught me exactly what it is. It is a business with shoulder pads, helmets, and brutality that is allowed in its vicinity. That's what it is. And if you look at different teams that have everybody has the same quote unquote salary cap, but players want to go to what they call the bigger markets because they get more opportunity for what? Endorsement deals, sponsorship opportunity, more money in their pocket. So that's why some players love to go to a Dallas, because of the major market. Now, of course, because teams that are winning now, the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills are winning consistently, the Ravens, players going to go there as well. But it's exactly what it is. It's a business. And the NFL taught me, right, Rob? In this business, you need to do exactly what is asked of you and do it without being told how to do it and do it at the highest level. Because in the NFL, they tell you one time, if you don't pick it up, off to the next, right? They don't want to baby you. They don't want to sit there and tell you something over and over again. Coaches don't mind players making mistakes. That's life. But don't make the same mistake on something I told you and don't do it over and over again because you won't have a job. So the NFL was great to teach me about business, about how to conduct business, and that at the end of the day, it's just that, a big, huge business.
Very well said, and it gives you a good perspective on how a player goes into the NFL and how coaches look at them to understand who's going to play at the highest level. And that's one of the biggest things in life is being able to catch on to things quickly. And if you make a mistake, make it once, don't make it again. And that's good, man. So, okay, we're going to pause real quick just to welcome everybody here before we dive in further. So I wanted to create this platform to give people an example. If you're struggling in your life personally and professionally and you feel stuck, you can find a breakthrough. Use these stories as an example. You can check out our sponsor, Connected Leaders Academy, at connectedleadersacademy.com. And also, if you want to launch your own platform, your own podcast, I'd love to help you do that to become the authority in your space, create an incredible impact on people's lives, and also make incredible personal and professional connections. Go to robzwentz.com and join our Pro Podcaster Academy. Today with us on the show, Marques Ogden, former NFL athlete and CEO of Ogden Ventures, went from financial ruin in 2013 to becoming a sought-after speaker and business coach. Now he helps executives and organizations thrive through mindset, leadership, and personal development. So you talked about the qualities that you learned in the NFL that made you a great businessman, but also in 2013, what had happened to you where you had to bring yourself back up out of the ruins?
Yeah, in 2013, I had to file a Chapter 7 complete and total bankruptcy. I lost anything and everything that I owned, Rob, in my construction business. I grew it to be a multiple 8-figure a year earning business. But unfortunately, in 2013, because of my ego, my bravado, and in reality, Rob, I was an individual that was driven results over purpose. I wanted to make the money, the fame, the notoriety. I was all about the results. I had no purpose. I had no mission. I had no alignment between my internal values and what I did on the outside. As a result of that, I ended up losing everything that I owned. My home was foreclosed on. Both cars were repossessed in the same day. I had all my money was gone. Everything was taken away from me. No credit cards, no anything, like my bank line. And I found all this out, Rob, 2 days before Christmas in 2012. December 23rd, around 8 o'clock at night, my bank called me. The bank president called me and said, Marques, we're sorry to do this, but we're shutting down your line of credit. We're coming after the equipment that we have. That line of credit is now gone. Anything you own building-wise, asset-wise, we're coming after it. And we're coming after you personally in January of 2013. So 2013 was one of the hardest years of my life, having to basically leave Baltimore like a thief in the night. And I left Baltimore and I got in my truck, packed it up with my ex-wife, well, she was my fiance at the time, packed up both trucks, drove down to Raleigh, and within a couple of days of being here, both cars were repossessed in the same day. I had no home, I had no money, I had no cars, I had no credit card, I had very few friends, and I had to start my life completely over from the bottom in April 2013.
So you talked about ego causing this to happen. What specifically was happening in your life at that time? And this is, I assume, after you'd already been in the NFL, built this construction business, so you're having tons of success. What was, looking back, what was going on with your ego that was causing this to happen?
My ego was getting fed by all the people telling me how great I was, the awards I was winning, the money I was making, and all those things. I was being fed a bunch of external motivating factor type of things that didn't mean anything. But my ego couldn't tell the difference between, like, things I should be proud of and am grateful for versus just anything coming my way. It just ate it up. It's just like a machine. It's ate it up. An article comes out, a newspaper clipping, going on TV, anything, making money, getting a check, be able to like feel power over my employees. It didn't matter, Rob. Anything that was about just feeling a sense of like, that's what I was. And my ego just kept feeding myself bad. And by the time I realized it, it was way too late. Because I didn't really realize my ego cost me everything until I hit rock bottom in September 2013, long after I shut the company down, months after I moved to Raleigh, months after losing my cars and all my assets. Like, it took me a while, about a good 6 to 9 months, somewhere in that range, to realize that my ego was the cause of my demise.
How did you have the revelation in September? What hit you?
About 5 to 10 pounds of trash hit me. When I was taking the trash, I was a custodian on my job. I was fired from Merrill Lynch. When I got here, the NFL helped me get a job with Merrill Lynch. I was fired from that job after about 2 months. I ended up getting a job at a masonry contractor. Boom, fired from that job 5 days later. The only job I could get, along with coaching kids football, was I was a custodian for $8.25 an hour. And what happened was, on my shift, taking the trash out, I had my spoiled milk, rock bottom, hitting every type of low point you can imagine moment. Taking that trash out where somebody's trash and rotten, funky, nasty meat and spoiled, nasty milk got all over me, my body, my skin, my clothes, everything. As a result of, there was a rip on the front side of the bag, which I couldn't see. And as a result of that, that's when everything just went haywire. It just went out of control. And I ended up losing absolutely everything at that moment, including my pride. Once I cleaned myself up and I was on that curb crying, that's when I realized at that moment, Rob, that Marques, you got here because you allowed your ego to take over, and your ego got bigger than a good part of your soul. And I tell everybody, if your ego gets bigger than the good part of your soul, you are screwed. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. And it took me, because I basically knew I was going to go bankrupt December 2012. I pretty much knew. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I had 177 creditors, $5.5 million of debt. And I didn't realize that until probably like August or September of 2013. But in reality, I really didn't understand how bad my ego got out of control until look, about 9 months after I knew I was going to have to file a complete Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
How many years were you in the NFL for?
Almost 6.
And so I've always wondered this, like, it has to be really difficult to go from, the lights and the game and the energy, the atmosphere, the adrenaline, to not be doing that anymore and to go into, quote unquote, normal lifestyle. Has to be a really hard transition for anybody, right? What was that transition like?
Oh, it was brutal. Oh, it was absolutely horrible because our father had passed away suddenly at a young age of 57, unexpectedly. That just hit me like a ton of bricks. We also didn't have a lot of the things we have now. So when I stopped playing in 2007, 2008, the NFL did not have what it does today, like the NFL Legends or the NFL Trust or the NFL Player Care Foundation or the NFL Retired Players Association. There's so many awesome, groups, associations that were formed in 2013 as a result of the CBA to help former players transition away from the game. So they do a fantastic job now. But when I retired, there was nothing. So I had no purpose. I had no direction. I had no passion. I was just a lump of, on a log, just getting up whenever I wanted to, no purpose. For about 6 months, I was a party animal, drinking, women, nightlife, gambling. Just literally, I had no type of real purpose, passion, value add in my life. I was just going through life aimlessly. And, that was a big, big thing for about 6 months after I retired from the NFL.
How old were you when you retired?
Almost 28. I was 27, but I was about to turn 28.
Wow. See, that's so crazy to me because you're so young, yet you're retiring from the thing you've worked in your entire life, and usually retirement comes in your 50s, 60s, in those places where you're so young, yet you put so much time into something and had so much success in something. And now you're kind of left like, what's next? So I'm thinking about that because I can't imagine how disconnected that would feel from being so good in one area to realizing, oh shoot, like I don't have that now. Where do I start? And going back to the beginning of this episode, you talking about the business disciplines that you learned from the NFL. When did those things start to click in for you? Because obviously those 6 months, they didn't click in. Obviously, it probably took a while for you to realize that sort of stuff. What was that?
You know what, man? It never really even clicked in my construction company because we were just making so much money and we were so young and I was so inexperienced. I just got really lucky with having a great product and service that people needed. And I was really good at selling. I didn't know anything about my business, but I could sell. So it didn't really click for me until I was starting my speaking career in 2013, September, and I didn't get a paid job for 2.5 years. I remembered grit, tenacity, we call them attributes. I remembered how to dig into those. And that's what I really leaned into. And I also dug into discipline. I dug into showing up, never giving up. And finally, in April 2016, I got my first paid speaking job for Miller Mock College. Then got my second paid speaking job for the Buffalo Bills. And that went really, really great. And so at that moment, it just was, continue to move and groove and grow from there. But yeah, I would really be honest, Rob, that those skills and the attributes that I really learned from the NFL didn't come into play probably until about 2014 or 15, when I just didn't give up on my speaking career, when most people after 6 months or a year year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years would have given up. I never did.
Yeah, man. That's really good. And it is true a lot of times, and I can attest to this too. I spent most of my life in radio broadcasting, and I learned so much in that career. I didn't realize how much I learned until about 6 or 7 years later when I started putting the pieces together. Man, there's so many things, so many disciplines that I learned in the past that I'm not using now. So whenever you were talking about that, I really I resonated with that, because there's things that we know really well that we don't carry on into our life. And I can't imagine the level of discipline that you had to have just to get into the NFL, right? That level of discipline, that mindset. How do you apply that now today with the work, with the speaking that you do? How do you practically on a day-to-day apply that discipline and mindset to what you're doing?
It's an everyday thing. You gotta pay your rent every single day. What you did yesterday means nothing in this business. What you did speaking wise a while back, all this type of stuff, that's not going to work, right? So here's what's going to happen in life. You're going to learn how to show up, and you're going to learn how to kick booty. You're going to learn how to do what you need to do every day. In speaking, it doesn't matter. I had a perfect example, Rob. I had a job that I just did on Monday, okay, here in Cary, North Carolina. A guy named Albie Knight, who's a phenomenal guy. He's the president of the IIANC, Independent Insurance Association of North Carolina. He heard me speak in October in Vegas. After my job on Monday here in Cary, he said, Marques, you were good in Vegas. You were good. But today, you're so much better. Today, your content's much more rich. It's much more fulfilled. It connected with us even stronger. You paid attention to our other speakers, tied in their message to your message to hit a point to us. It was absolutely so much more inspirational and so much better than October. And I said, Albie, thank you very much. And what I've done, you want to be successful? 3 things, ladies and gentlemen, to influence your life for the better. Number 1 is your environment. Where are you spending your time? Number 2 is your input. What are you listening to? You're feeding your mind. Number 3 is your associations. Who are you hanging around? Who are you with? Who are you talking to? What are you doing? At that moment, that's when I realized all 3 of those things have come into my life in the last probably 6 to 12 months, give or take, like really strong. That's why in our business, everything's going up. Our keynotes, our coaching, our consulting, going on podcasts, what we deliver, content, when I interview people, you name it. I've changed who I've hung around, or who I hang around. I have more people that are going to push the hell out of me than I have before. I'm inputting great to like really uplifting music or inspirational content or audiobooks. Nothing else. No junk, no news, no negativity. I don't have time for it, because your mind is not designed to make you happy. Your mind is designed to keep you alive. And then environment. I got divorced in July 2022. Okay, Rob? November 1st, 2022 until January 15, 2023, I was a mess. Getting out of bed was almost a daily fight. Now, because I've worked on myself, I've got better friends around me, I have changed my environment. I bought a brand new home in May of 2023 that I'm the first person to live in. It is my sanctuary. It's where I spend my time. Now, the way I look at the world and how I do my things is so much more positive. So again, ladies and gentlemen, these 3 things are going to make your life better. Your environment, your input, your associations. So just to point, right, Rob? Like Albie said, Marques, you were good in October, but now you're so much better. And I credit that to the people I'm around, what I input into my mind, and now being much more aware of where I spend my time.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so important. And like you said about news and certain kinds of content, these things might feel like they're just something to pass the time with, something for entertainment or whatever, but start paying attention to how you feel when you consume certain kinds of things. When you're putting good stuff in, good stuff comes back out. And it might seem like it doesn't matter at the time when you're doing whatever you're doing, but as you start paying attention to those associations, when you start paying attention to what you're putting in to your body through your eyes, through your mouth, whatever, it makes a massive difference. So I love that because it's so simple. It's the small, slight edge, compound interest of how that stuff builds up that makes massive change. So real fast, we're going to pause to shout out the sponsor of the show, though. When we come back, I want to talk about the why power. I love this. You talk about tapping into your why power. I want to know what that means for you, how we can apply that to our lives when we come back. Are you struggling to make consistent, valuable content for yourself? Do you want to have an efficient and effective way to create content that attracts the people that you want to connect with in life, the people you want to build relationships with in business? Do you want to be the go-to authority at what you do, at what you're great at? Would it be helpful for you if you had a platform that connects you to incredible people in your industry? The kind of platform that gets you leads and lands you clients without you having to beat down anybody's door or blow up anybody's inbox. Whether you're already creating content or you're desiring to start and it's something that's been kind of burning inside of you for a while, I urge you and encourage you to check out the Pro Podcaster Academy. Get started right now. Join the waitlist at robzwentz.com.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world globally. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, join the Connected Leaders Academy today. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JASCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Marcus, loving this conversation, man. Talk about the why power, tapping into this why power. What does that mean for you? How do we understand that?
So your why power, Rob, is the power that you tap into to turn the ignition to get to the life that you want for yourself. It's that ignition that when you hit it, you become the lighthouse where people can follow you. They can be led by you. One of my favorite quotes by Aristotle: in times of extreme darkness, focus on the light. And he was teaching that to Alexander the Great when he was entrusted by King Philip II to coach Alexander to help him become a more well-rounded leader. And Aristotle would pull and tap into the emotion of Alexander by remembering one of the favorite stories that Alexander used to love to read, the Iliad by Homer. And because Alexander was obsessed with Achilles, the Greek warrior from the Trojan War. So this is how he would get Alexander to ignite himself, to ignite his men. There's no way statistically Alexander should have ever beat Darius III of Persia, who had over 150 million people under his reign when he was the Persian king. Over 150 million people, Rob. Over half the world was populated and led by the Persian dynasty. Alexander was this small little bit of Macedonia in the corner of Greece. He was only 21 years old when his father was murdered at his sister's wedding. And he took over as king, but what Darius did not count on was Alexander being coached by one of the greatest philosophers of our time, well, of that time and of all time. And so he would teach Alexander how to tap into his why power, or you can call it your willpower, your who, what you are, what you stand for, and then get other people to follow you. 5 things Aristotle told Alexander the Great to do to be a great leader. Number 1, have impeccable character. Number 2, lead with emotion or passion.
Mm.
Number 3, give the men a reason to follow you. Number 4, talk to the men in art in form of stories or metaphors, i.e. Trojan War, i.e. Achilles. Tell them in metaphors. And number 5, he told Alexander, be concise. So it still stands today, right, Rob? You have great character, have emotion, what you do, give people a reason to follow you or connect with you, tell them in the arts of metaphors or stories, and be concise.
Amazing. I love that. Makes me want to go investigate and study his journey and their relationship, because just when you said in times of extreme darkness, focus on the light. And I think of that in a literal sense, when it's cloudy out, above those clouds, the sun is always shining. It's always there. It's getting to the light that's always there whenever you're in that darkness. It can be easier sometimes than other times, but it's always possible and it's always there. So finding that way to break through. When you went through, you went through some seriously dark times. It sounds like you were in some really difficult places.
I believe it.
Were there certain things that you would do on a daily basis when you thought like not being able to get out of bed, right? Certain things that you did that sparked that change?
You know what I did? Finally, I was consistent in just talking good about myself. One of my favorite people is Bruce Lee. Love Bruce Lee. Everything from his acting to his discipline, his mindset, family man. Love Bruce Lee. One of his best quotes for Bruce Lee is the following: never tell your mind negative thoughts in a joking manner. Your body cannot dissimulate the difference. Or another great Bruce Lee quote: so shall you think, so you shall become. I finally stopped talking bad about myself. I finally stopped saying, you're stupid, Marques. You're this, Marques. You're horrible, Marques. What is this, Marques? And blah, blah, blah. I just stopped talking bad about myself. As a result of that, that's when life started to turn for the better. Because I stopped looking at myself as a failure or a victim. I became a victor. And I tell people all the time, please protect your mind by just giving it positive energy. Tell yourself negative. If you're going to keep saying, I can't, you won't. One of my favorite things from Darren Hardy in his book on how to create your best life ever, number 5 rule of building the life you want: start talking to yourself and be I am. I am going to do this. I am going to do that. Because when you keep saying I am, it becomes I have done.
Mm-hmm. Speaking as if it already happened. Yeah, man. And I go back to the compound interest of that too, right? Because if you are saying bad things to yourself, negative things, you might not even realize all the time that you're saying. I know for myself, I didn't realize a lot of the times that I was saying negative things to myself. So I had to catch it and replace it. And that's, if you're hearing this right now and you're like, well, how the heck do I do that? It's like catching it and replacing it, catching it and replacing it, right? Because you're not all of a sudden going to start thinking really good things about yourself if you've been thinking negatively about yourself for a long time. So it's like every day, standing guard at the door to your mind. You got to stand guard and you got to replace those thoughts and decide what gets in and what doesn't get in. And that can be that's a constant journey.
Because you are the one that's going to set what comes in, what comes out. It goes back to input, right? Input. And also association. There's 3 types of association. There's disassociation, which means I don't need to hang out with you. You're good over there. Like, stay over your side. I'm over here. Like, I don't want your energy. I don't want your vibe. You're good. Then you have what's called limited association. I can take your vibe for a few minutes, maybe an hour or 2. After that, I got to check out. I just can't be around you too much. You're okay, but you're not tons of positivity. You're not negative, but you're not really like, give me that inspiration or encouragement. So we'll be okay, but I'll keep it limited, right? Then you have expanded association. Let's vacation together. Let's hang out. Let's go do things together. Let's go to church together. Let's hang out. Let's do this and that, because you're the type of individual that has that positive energy, that positive flow. And that's who people need to be looking to associate with, and stay away from those what we call energy suckers or vampire suckers.
Yeah. Yep. And you know who they are. And unless you are one of them, then you might not know who they are, because you're also one of them. So it's that awareness to realize those sorts of things. Hey, what would you say separates a good leader from a great leader?
A good leader gives feedback. A great leader gives feedback and accepts feedback. Plain and simple. And this is something that a lot of people have to learn. You want to be a great leader, you can't just be out there telling people how to get better, what to do, how to improve. You have to be open to how to do better, how to improve, how to work on yourself. And you have to learn to embrace dynamic subordination, which basically means in military terms that we say in layman terms, if you do not have the expertise to lead a certain area and someone else has better experience, expertise, get out of the way, move your ego to the side, and let them take the lead, right? I tell Dawn's my internal manager, one of my best friends, right? I say, Dawn, when it comes to newsletter, blogs, content, you can show me what you want to show me, that's fine, but you don't have to, because you do the research. You've been doing all the information and studying. Like, you know what's out there. You know what's trending, right? Great leaders don't have to always have the right answers. They don't have to always try to have every problem solved, because at the end of the day, a great leader hires great people to allow them to do what they're supposed to do as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Building that great team behind you is everything, and being humble enough to get out of the way. Really good stuff, man. Powerful. I love the story. And I want to thank you for coming on, because talk about a story of breakthrough, of going to the top. I mean, what percentage of football players get into the NFL? That percentage is very low.
It's like 0.0065. It's less than 1% of all the athletes that, that play high school, or like Pop Warner to middle school to high school to college. I mean, it just keeps going down and down.
It's incredible.
Down and way down.
And it's incredible to know, like, you made it to that peak, and then coming out of that, you had to restart everything. And I imagine a lot of professional athletes go through that process of rebuilding.
Oh, yeah. Of course they do, because you have to find out what's next. You have to figure out, what are you going to do? Who are you? What do you like? Who are you outside of your sport? Mm-hmm. What interests do you have? What do you want to? What are your hobbies? What do you? Again, I think that's why, unfortunately, there's such a high divorce rate with athletes, because when they retire, they don't really know who they are, what they want to do, and then sometimes with their spouse, they don't know each other. And then from there, you have this person that you really don't know, because they were out on the road, traveling, playing whatever, and now they're home with you, and they're no longer the athlete, basketball, football, baseball, whatever. And then what happens? You don't connect. You guys don't get along. Then what happens? You get divorced.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine the ego ego comes into that.
Yeah, man. It's
because it'd be so easy. It's so easy. You're on top of the world. You're a professional athlete, right? So it's to have that balance, especially in your early to mid 20s, would be so difficult to have that perspective. So, man, I just love the perspective you brought to this episode today. I want to encourage people to connect with you, so they can go to your website, marquesogden.com, OGDEN. What can they expect when they go to the website?
They can connect with us. They can check out some of our videos. We have some of our keynotes on there, looking for a specific keynote. We have our coaching on there, our consulting on there. You can connect with our podcast, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden, on there. And you can shoot us a note or an email. You can connect with us any way you can. Amazing.
All right, go check it out. See it for yourself. Make the connection. Also, like I said earlier, you want to be the authority in your field, the go-to expert at what you do. Join our Pro Podcaster Academy at robzwentz.com. Marques, thank you so much for being here. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
No, just, ladies and gentlemen, just remember this thing. In life, it's all about you. You are the it factor. You are the magic factor. Realizing that it's you and be consistent in everything you do. There's nothing you can't achieve in your life. Just always know you're the magic it factor and that you have what it takes by being consistent. Show up. You can always then show out.
I love it. Another true testimony of breakthrough. Until next time, this has been the Unstuck Movement.